Hello again, back with a quick coffee break. Brought my coffee with me. So let's pick up where we left off. This morning we had our first end-to-end-ish scenario where we look up every game in my shelf and query the playtimes. So we're almost there. The missing link is when we query the database with playtimes for a game, we get more than one search result back. And the next step is matching the actual game we're interested in. So we don't take every other semi-related game that is somewhat related. We're not interested in those. We're interested in the exact game we query. Maybe before we do that, I noticed while we were working in the REPL or in the interactive window that every time I changed the file, I had to reload all the HTTP requests because something in the type or a version of the type changed according to the REPL, and I had to run this snippet of code again, which was surprising to me. So I was thinking, how can we not do that? And I think if we put the HTTP logic in one file and the parsing logic in another file, maybe, just maybe, we don't have to do that every single time. So now I'm gonna spend 5 to 10 minutes trying this out and seeing whether or not this actually makes a difference. So first things first, I'm gonna refactor my code a bit and put it into separate files or separate modules to make working with a REPL a bit easier, or hopefully. That's the hypothesis I want to test. So we have this file, which I'm going to split into two. One is the get.html part, and the other part is the parsing part. Can you nest modules in F#? Is that a thing you do? I don't actually know. Because in C# you have namespaces. I think you also have namespaces in F#, but I don't know if people use them that much. I am typing in this browser window, but my shortcuts are doing stuff in another tab. That's weird. Nested modules F#. I'm gonna quickly close my door because there's some draft. That's much better. Okay, so we were looking up whether we can and should nest modules in F#. I have these little candies, they're called kruidnoten. It's a bit of really small gingerbread. Pretty good. And we have them a lot around December in Belgium. There we go, we can nest modules. But then we have to do some extra indentation. Is this also correct for F#6? Probably. Let's try it out. So I'm gonna do two files. One for the HTTP and one for the parsing. I'm gonna keep both in the how long to beat module, but I'm gonna nest some modules. How long to beat dot HTTP and how long to beat dot parsing. This probably will break some imports, but it's a small app. We can do this manually. So, module how to beat. I don't know if we should follow the exact same. Syntax, probably we should, so let's do that. And let's indent some. There we go. So we have files in libraries or multiple file applications must begin with a namespace or module declaration. Okay. That is actually what I'm trying to do. Do I need the equal sign? Yeah, apparently for the nest module we do. Okay. And this is HTTP, so we can keep everything HTTP related, but remove everything parsing related. Is this nested though? Yes, looks like it's nested inside how long to beat. Cool, let's do the same for the parsing. What's happening? What's the difference between HTTP and what I'm doing here? We don't need f#.data here. What is the problem? An implementation has already been given. That is actually correct, but I want to use a module as a namespace, so I want two files with the same module. Is that not a... Is that not something you can do? No. Apparently it's not something you can do. Although I have written my own module async, like to have functions in an async module that I declare myself, so it has to be possible, no? What am I missing here? So, cool. Yes, this is exactly what we're doing. Indentation, sure. If you want all the code in a file to be in a single outer module and you want inner modules, blah 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 blah. No, I want different files. That's the entire reasoning of my refactoring. Let's do another query. F# single module multiple files. That's something you can and should do. And otherwise we're just gonna take two different modules, of course. That's also something we can do. And maybe namespaces are better to reflect this. These things belong together than modules. Yeah, Kurt Schelfhout. That's a name I recognize from the F# world already. There's this website called Exorcism. Is it .io? I don't remember. .org. If you want to learn a new programming language and you need some like exercises that you want to try out, Exorcism is really amazing. The catch, or why this website is so good for learning a new programming language, is because you have exercises and solutions, but more than that, you have feedback from actual practitioners of the language. So if you solve a puzzle in, let's say, F# and you submit your solution, someone will actually look at your code and provide feedback. So you get feedback from people that know the language by heart, that have worked in the language for years sometimes. So Exorcism is great, and that's where I know this name from. He's one of the F# figureheads over there. But we're drifting again. I was splitting up a module into two and making sure whether we are trying out whether we could split. Apparently we can't split a single module, so let's just make two modules. How long to beat parsing and how long to beat HTTP. What's happening here? Is it because my formatter went crazy? Probably. So let's... Ooh. I'm seeing... Stop. Let's hit reset quickly. I was reverting changes I made previously. That's not the road I want to go on. The hit reset has never been this heavyweight. What's happening? Okay, those are two files that I added. Those can go as well. No, please delete these files for me. That's why I don't like Visual Studio. If you touch project files or solution files, the thing goes loco. Okay. Looks like we're back to a stable state. Okay, we're 12 minutes in and I said we were going to spend 10 minutes max. But I'm still gonna do it again. Because I think now we know how to actually split this up into two modules. But let's just not nest them. Let's take one and call it how long to beat HTTP, and let's call the other one how long to beat parsing. Could work with folders and namespaces to show these really belong together, except instead of having a module name. This is going to be the HTTP one. This is going to be the parsing one. I don't think you need the actual module declaration when your file has the name you need. But let's keep it as is. This is the HTTP one, so parsing can go from this one. And from parsing, the actual HTTP stuff can go. There should be a cleaner. Wow. HTML nodes. Oh yeah, we need f#.data here as well because we are parsing HTML. And this, yeah, let's import that. So I'm just gonna type a fully qualified name here. How long to beat HTTP dot social response. There we go. Everything should still compile in these two modules at least. Yes, and the REPL will probably be broken as well. So this is how long to beat HTTP and parsing. Other than that, we have some explicit names here, some explicit names there. We'll probably have to do the same in our main method. HTTP and parsing. Everything compiles. Yes, the tests probably don't. They do not. This is open HLTB parsing. And let's get rid of the module name because we opened the module. And then our tests are safe against refactorings like renaming a module, which is exactly what we're doing right now. Cool. I don't have unit tests for the HTTP thing because I never write unit tests, or no, I separate unit tests that do network traffic from fast in-memory tests. And I decided not to bother with network or tests that actually talk to the network and a file system. I should stop talking and refactoring because I'm losing track of what I'm doing. Cool. This is the formatter acting up again. That's a shame. I'm gonna hopefully try and fix it like this. Come on. There we go. Okay, now some formatting issues. That is actually a shame. I wish I knew a better way to do what I'm doing right now, because it's troublesome. And if it's a small piece of code like this, it's not the end of the world, but it's not something I want to bother with. What's actually going wrong? Semicolon over here, probably. Nope, don't like this. If you do some F# development and know how I can do this without all this manual indenting, be my guest, because I have no idea how to improve on this part. Come again, what is going wrong? What is the problem? This cannot be the way to... Can I format document? What's the Visual Studio format command again? Control ED. That's supposed to do it for C# code, I think. No. Format document. I have it configured so it formats on save, but that's what broke the that's what broke my F# code, I think. Okay. Let's just press tab a lot of times. Hope I get something that compiles again. And then the auto formatting will hopefully figure it out for me. Oh, come on. Yeah, we're getting there. Please. That is one. There we go. Format me, please. So this is really invasive and it throws me off of my focus, so might have to look into how to not end up in situations like this. So what did we do? We split up HTTP calls and parsing into two different files and modules, but the file thing is more important, I think, because now I want to see if when I change something in parsing logic, can I just reload the parsing logic into my REPL without having to do the HTTP calls again? Because that was bothering me last session. So everything is green, that is cool. Let's drop into the REPL. And let's load everything. Yep. And let's do the HTTP calls, sure. So this would be my workflow. So now we are reading the CSV, performing 300 HTTP calls to howlongtobeat.com to retrieve the playtimes. And as a next step, we're currently implementing the parsing and the matching logic to match queries to responses and to add up all the playtimes to figure out how many hours we spent playing video games. But every time I changed something in this parse result, I had to do the HTTP calls again because the REPL did not like me changing part of the code without changing everything and without having to redo those HTTP calls. So this works now. And the parsing also works. But let's say I change something in this file now. Let's just throw an error. So I changed the code. Then I go back to the REPL and I reload my parser. Now this is in a different file. Does this make a difference? Can I run this now without doing the HTTP calls? No. Yeah, we can actually. It's the exception. Cool. So lesson learned. When working with a REPL and designing your modules. Keep code that changes often, or parsing code. Keep it in a different file than something that's more stable, like an HTTP wrapper, because then you can just twiddle around with the code without having to go through your entire main methods, basically. So now we don't have to do the HTTP gets. We can just update our parsing logic and we can run it. This is a better feedback loop. So I'm happy with these changes. I'm not happy with the module versus namespace thing. I don't know how that works in F# actually, so maybe that's something we should put on the backlog as a nice to have. F# modules and namespaces. Okay. I have no idea what the best practice or the accepted practices regarding these things, so let's investigate if we have time and energy for it. Let's check in the changes. Maybe quickly rerun my unit tests. For a definition of quickly at least, because that's a bit slow. Split HTTP request, HTTP from parsing logic into separate files, modules. We can update code and REPL without having to refetch the HTML. So this is, at runtime, this makes no difference at all. It's just for like developer experience. It's more fun to work in code that you can take a look at in small parts and small feedback cycles, rather than having to run your entire program every time you change something and having to wait minutes before you see results that you're actually interested in. That's also why I write unit tests or do test-driven development. It's to make those feedback cycles as small and as short, as tight as possible. Okay, but anyway, this was a side excursion to increase the speed of our feedback loops. Now we're back into the functionality we're going to implement today, and that is matching the search results we get back from the API with the actual games in our backlog to figure out the exact playtimes for the game, and not just for every game that is related to our query. I have no idea how we're gonna tackle this, so I'm gonna tackle it very naively and take it one step at a time. So my first idea is to just look up the exact title we have in our shelf and get a playtime for that, and that probably will work for 80% of the games in my collection. But there will be edge cases. We've already seen edge cases in previous streams, but I'm not going to worry about them just now. Let's just do the stupid thing or the naive thing first and see how far that takes us. And we're going to do it in a REPL because of what I just said about feedback loops. So we have the HTML responses in here. Yes, we do. And now that I think about it, we decoupled the queries from the responses. So when you look at this responses, that's a list of search response things and a search response itself. Where can we find them? That's the parsing of the CSV file. I'm looking for the HTML, that's this. So a search response is just a string containing HTML, so it's just this. But we lost information about the query that this HTML returned. So maybe that's something we should put back in there. Otherwise, we look at what we are going to do. We have the list of games, and then we transform that list of games into a list of search results. But that list of search results it has no memory of what the actual game was we were looking up, and that's maybe something we do want to do. So this is the HTML, and game is the actual game. And instead of returning a result, we can return the game and the result as a tuple. And now these responses have both the query or the request and the response, and it will be much easier to write a matching algorithm if you have both at the same time, of course. So yeah, I think we're just going to use a tuple like this. What's not working anymore? Oh yeah, so now these responses are tuples. So we have the request and response, and we want to parse the response. But maybe let's just keep the request in there in the tuple as well. Is there a different syntax? Yeah, there we go. So this has not changed anything rather than piping in the request as well. I think this should work. Now we do have to rerun all the HTTP gets because we changed this piece of code. Every game I see pop up, or no, most of the games I see pop up are like 100 plus hours. Jesus, that's a lot of video game hours. Okay, there we go. And parsing should still also work. Yay, and now we have the combination of a game title. Sorry, no, that's not a bad example. Here we go. So we have a game title and the list of search responses. And now I hope that we can correlate game with the correct search response. And actually the case we landed up is really interesting because it's going to be a hard one to... it's going to be a hard one. Doom has many sequels and many variants, but even the title itself, Doom, I think there are 2 games titled Doom. You have the original DOS game from way back, and then you have the reboot from, I don't know what, 10 years ago? How will we figure out which Doom we want to take a look at? So let's see here, Doom. Let's get rid of the developer console. Yeah, so we have a 2016 game and a 1993 game. Do we actually know? Does my source of my shelves know which version of Doom we're talking about? Let's take a look. Let's open that CSV file. Where is my code? There we go. A Doom. 8 hits, what? Did I play 8 Dooms already? I am not seeing the word Doom. Oh, there we go. Doom Eternal. This is the classic Doom. Is it? Dual joystick shooter. No, that's not the Doom I'm looking for. This is the Doom I'm looking for. Okay. So, original Doom. Date added, 2017, sure. We have a URL. Do we have a date of release or something like that? Battle Cry Studios. I have not heard of that developer before. Certain Affinity. Nope. Oh, is there anything about the year of release? Panic Button. Those are the people that port impressive or make impressive ports to Nintendo Switch. There is a column with the date in here, 2016. What does that column mean? It's the second to last column. Let's look at the headers. Release date. I think we might, for the Doom case, we might also include the release date so that we can, when we do the matching, look at the correct release date. Because if I look at the response here, we do get the release dates back, and it's 2016 versus 93, and in here we had 2016, so I think we might be able to match correctly on release year. But that's already 10 steps ahead. Let's first try and see how far we get with a naive exact title match. Yeah, so we have the parsed games here with all the search results, I mean. And let's just try the stupid thing and match every request with the single search response with the exact same title and see how far we get. So, just gonna work in this REPL to get some quick feedback. It's all throwaway or scratch code to play around. That's why I love programming in a language that supports a REPL or an interactive window. So for every request, I'm just gonna take a single one out of there so we can focus on what we're trying to do with a single game instead of with a list. So our winner of today is Darksiders 3. It is on our plate shelf, and when we query howlongtobeat.com, we get 3 results, 1 for the game we're looking for, and 2 different DLCs. Which is interesting because I typically do buy and play the DLCs, but I don't log my plays of the DLCs. I'm gonna ignore that fact and I'm just gonna take this playtime. So let's try an exact title match. I'm gonna call it Find Match because match is a reserved keyword in F#, and it's for a request and search responses. And it should return a single search response. So let's think about the types here a bit. So find match of game, and game is a groovy game and a search result list. So I'm gonna add those type hints in here. Groovy game and a list of search responses. And what we should return is a single search response in the happy case, at least. If things blow up, it won't be a single search response, but something else. But naive algorithm first. There we go. Whoa, I've never seen F# code indented like this. Okay, I'm gonna leave it as is. Never fight with your formatter. It's a losing battle. And let's just return search responses. The first one, so our compiler is happy. What is the problem? Type mismatch, expecting a game and a search response lists, but it should be a search result. I mistyped. All right, search result, where are you? There we go. I made the remark the other day that search result and search response are very confusing names, and it is definitely the case because I'm thrown off again. So time to fix that. What do we mean by search result and search response? So search result itself is a parsed search response containing a title and all the playtimes. Okay, and what is the other thing again? Search response. That's just a string containing the HTML. Let's just call this HTTP response instead. Or an HTTP search response. And the other one is called a search result. Sure. At least now one has HTTP in the name and the other is just a type we declared. Does everything still compile? I used an automatic refactoring, so I hope everything compiles, otherwise the tools support is lacking. Oh dear. And again, this formatting blows up. Interesting. I do an automatic refactoring and stuff blows up. That's a side effect I would never expect in a C# code base. Ah. strong dislike. Oh, probably if I put a semicolon here. Yeah, I'm getting like a sixth sense on how to fix these indentation issues. I don't know whether it's a good or a bad thing, but I'm starting to get a feel of how to please the compiler. And the best part is, once it's fixed and I press save, the formatter kicks in again, and they remove all the semicolons again. There we go. So it's really a stupid step in between to satisfy the compiler. And again, it threw me for a loop. I forgot what we were doing. Yes, I renamed search response to HTTP search response, something like that. Ah, no, I renamed the case, but not the type itself. Oh god, please don't have me go through these hoops again. Just gonna build and pray for the best. Okay, that works. In the background, I'm gonna run my unit tests to make sure I didn't break anything. We were implementing the match algorithm, which was down here. Cool. I'm gonna look at my pending changes, and I think right now we have a bit of exploratory code and a rename, so I'm just gonna check it in. Refactor, rename, confusing, search result, search response types. Boof, it's gone. Okay. We can go back to the job at hand, which is implementing the find match function. Let's see. My REPL, probably I should reload my REPL after a big rename like we did. So again, this was a detour. We were working on something and I got sidetracked. That doesn't happen every day, I promise. It's funny because these are the things when I coach teams and when I coach developers, these are the things I point out, like, hey, we were working on this and now we're suddenly refactoring something totally unrelated. Can we not postpone that and stick with the matter at hand? And during my own programming sessions, I do exactly the same. So it's funny. It's something that I'm aware of, at least. Okay, so our type signatures line up and our find match does something, but it's a very naive approach. It's just taking the first search response. So that's even more naive than taking an exact string match of the title. And maybe, or probably, this will be the best implementation of this find match. I don't know if we will do better with title or string comparison, actually, because I hope and think that this website, How Long to Beat, already ranks the search results somewhat intelligently. So the best match is probably the first match. Yeah, I just convinced myself. Let's drop the matching on title and let's just keep the first hit results for now. See how far we get. Yeah. But this is like a big assumption, and it's something that's really hard to verify. And the only way I know how to verify this is by just printing out my entire collection now and seeing how those two titles match up, and maybe even include the release date or something like that, or all the alternatives we considered to make sure that, or to have like an overview of whether we're doing something correct or not. So I'm just gonna print everything we have and see if it follows our expectations or not. So let's print out everything. Looking for a match for a game, which is the request dot title candidates. Let's just print out the entire search response where we map over and grab the where this is a search result list, so we should be able to map over it, and we should have IntelliSense. Why don't we have IntelliSense? It's a search result. I should have IntelliSense. Oh, there we go. Closest match is just the first one, which is a very naive algorithm. But let's stick with it for now. Let's print out that one as well. And let's return that closest match. It's not a string there. That is a correct observation. So, very naive approach. Grab the first search response and pray that it's the best. Let's see how far this takes us for our collection. So this is running for a single game, and it's saying, looking for Darksiders 3. My candidates are these 3 games, or these 3 titles, and I think that Darksiders 3 is the best match. Cool. Now let's do this for Doom. Let's find Doom first. My game. Why is IntelliSense not following me? Oh, it's Drupal. So response dot. Nope. Request dot title. That's enough. Title is Doom. Let's grab Doom and try it out. So for Doom. That's a bigger search result. So we query Doom and we get Doom recent, Doom old. Why am I not seeing the year? Maybe it makes sense to also include the year in our search results. This will help troubleshoot later down the road. So let's take a look at Doom. As the HTML at least for Doom. And let's figure out how to include the year in our parse results. So I'm just going to do the HTTP request here so we can grab the HTML and scrape it. Okay, let's launch the query. Query launched. Let's grab the HTML. This should be the HTML. It's funny to see like every web page you open in the wild has tens, hundreds of errors in the console most of the time. It's like the new normal, which is an interesting observation, I find. But anyway, we have Doom 2016. Where do we get the year? There we go. So we should be able to parse the year of release. It's too bad that we don't have like an indication that this HTML element contains the release year. It's just like, okay, here's a strong element, go. The website doesn't have an API, so we are scraping the HTML because there is no alternative. That's actually an interesting observation. You only have the release year when you have multiple releases of the same title, probably. Oh. So we don't always have the release. We have the release here only in case of double hits, which might take us a bit far. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother. I'm gonna put it on the backlog. Matching, find game of the correct release year. And that's not really nice to have. That's something we probably will have to do if we want to make this. If I was writing code for a client, that's something that's not optional. That's something I would do. But it's a fun side project, so let's forget it just now. So for Doom, at least, we have the correct one because I played the new one, and I also played the old one, actually. So my backlog is not complete. But this is an edge case. Let's forget about Doom. Let's try something else, which wasn't... There was a Pokemon with Pikachu and Eevee, which was also an interesting case. Because the game in my backlog is listed as Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee, like a single title. But that's actually not a game title. There's two different games, I mean, with two different titles. So let's grab Eevee. That's probably... Yes, so there's a Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and there's a Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, but in my plate shelf it's listed as a single game. And there we crash because we have no search results. This is correct. And if you look at the search results, it is indeed an empty list. And that's because of something we did this morning. And what we did this morning is How Long to Beat returns us no search results. Let me maybe show that. So let me copy paste the entire title. And let's go howlongtobeat.com. I don't know why, but my DevTools, they are like in touch mode, and I don't know how to get rid of touch mode. Like responsive and a device, but I don't know how to get rid of this bar because I'm not developing a web app, I'm just like troubleshooting a website. But okay, drifting off again, getting sidetracked. Okay, here we go. So Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Eevee is a no-go. I think if we get rid of the Eevee, yes, and if we... Oh, that's interesting. They also listed as a single game. It's just that the title is slightly different. Here they use and Let's Go, and here it's like slash. And the search engine of How Long to Beat is not smart enough to figure this out. So we might have to help How Long to Beat. And that's maybe also hinting at an approach I'm considering, which is hints for specific games. So what I mean is, instead of writing a general purpose app that will always work for every kind of input, so that we can, for example, build this app and distribute it and people can look up their playtimes given only a CSV file as input, I'm just gonna like implement a list in code right now with like exceptions. Like if you've encountered Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu /Eevee, just rename that to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu before we do the HTTP calls. So it's a bit of cleaning of the data, but it's not going to be a all-purpose general algorithm. It's just going to be a whitelist, basically. I'm going to build a whitelist of data cleaning steps. Or at least that's the first idea I'm having here. So actually the matching is not that interesting. It's just taking the first search result. I'm going to keep the debug stuff in here until we are somewhat close to a finish line. But let's write the whitelisting algorithm. Which has to happen before we do the HTTP calls. So actually we have to whitelist right about here somewhere, or apply the data cleaning step right here. So we have correct queries to send to How Long to Beat. Yeah, so I'm gonna write a function again, a whitelist function, or apply whitelist, something like that. That just takes a title and we do a lookup, and if it's a term to be whitelisted or to be cleaned, sorry, whitelist is maybe not a correct term here. If it's a term that needs to be cleaned, we just clean it and return the clean title. And then we can use that cleaned title to do the actual query to howlongtobeat.com. So let's build a whitelist first. And I think it might be a dictionary. Yeah, so let's make it a dictionary, or a, it's called a map in F#. And it maps string to a string. So it's like the dirty title, and it maps it to a clean title. This is the data structure we're going to be using, just the lookup table. And the function we use is, let's call it clean a title. And it's just, if the title exists in our list, we return a cleaned title, and otherwise we return the title itself. So let's just do that. Whitelist. I'm gonna use a real example, or no, dirty clean, that works actually. So what's the behavior we're looking for? Let's just have it compile. Yeah. So I'm gonna write some tests here to show what we're gonna do. So if we clean an already clean title, we should have the title itself. So should return a clean title itself. This like clean semicolon title, that's something I do in all my testing almost. If I have something like a string or a data type where I can put in an explanation or like a bit of metadata, where in this case this string is representing a clean title, I just type that exact thing in there. Because I see a lot of developers that type like a realistic term like Pokemon, or even like something non-existent like foobar, but that's a lost opportunity. If you like have the opportunity to type text, you can just type like extra information, and it will only help the reader when you see this test like, okay, this is the case for a clean title. And this is not that important if you are like writing unit tests and you have method names where you can put a scenario name. But if things fail, like if you have an assertion that fails and it prints out it prints out the title, if it literally says clean title somewhere in your output, it's much clearer than just having Joske or foobar in a failing test assertion. So that's why I prefer when I have the opportunity to provide like data in my strings or something like that, or provide extra context, that's what I do. Anyway, this is the case for a clean title, but if we have a dirty title, I'm just gonna hard code it right now. We should return clean. And seeing this already, writing tests for some like hard-coded assumptions, don't like it. So let's maybe provide an overload for this function that can take a whitelist as an argument. So it's a function whitelist clean with, and that doesn't declare the lookup table itself. It just takes it as an argument. And then we can do the building of a whitelist here, for example, and say clean with whitelist. Oh, come on. And the title. That way, when we write tests, we can provide the actual whitelist in the test itself, and then it's super clear that what we're testing. Like you see the whitelist itself and the cases, and you see them right next to each other. You don't have to click to different files to figure out, to understand a single test. I prefer having my test super readable, and especially having my test contain the complete story, like the complete storyline of what we're testing. Not just like, oh, there's some assumptions and you should go look into this hidden setup file that sets up a database somewhere. I don't like that. I like to see the arrange and the act and assert for a single scenario and filter out the white noise and the irrelevant stuff, sure. But the things that do matter for this specific test, I like to have it right there in the test. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm making sure that we can when we see a single test, we see like, okay, this is what we're doing here. So let's also build a quick function, build map. It takes a list and it just makes a map of a list. That's maybe a stupid thing to implement because it's really short. But in my tests, if you do this, you can see like, again, it's clear. You don't have that pipe and it's this thing. I think that this is easier to read. Let's just call it map off. That's maybe a better term. So if we have a clean function and we have this map, then in the event that we have a clean title, it should return this. I think that reads pretty nicely. And in the case of dirty, we should have clean. And let's put an exclamation mark because programming is fun. Yeah, I'm happy with the tests. I'm happy with the types. Now let's implement this. There we go. Tests are failing. Of course, tests are failing, but I like to see my tests fail because before I fix them or before I implement the code. So clean of a clean title should return clean title. Fixing that is really simple. We just return title itself. So that's fixing the first case. I think if we run that test again, it should pass now. Yes, it does. The second one is still failing. Yes, because we're just returning the title. And now we should do the actual lookup. Good morning, everyone. I was just programming some F#. I'm building an app that will tell me how many hours I spent playing video games. And currently I have like a list of search, or I have a shelf or an app I use to have my shelf of played games. We parse that, we're there. And now for every game in my collection, I'm doing queries to howlongtobeat.com. And we already did that. And now I'm implementing the matching logic. Like if we query for Doom, which version of Doom did I actually play? And that's what we're doing. I'm using a whitelist approach. So I know a couple of exceptions, like for example, Doom. I know that it is a bit tricky, and I'm just doing the simplest thing that could possibly work here, and that is when we have a title or when I have a game and I know that something is fishy about it or it's an edge case, I just like hard code a title that I know will work when I do the lookup on howlongtobeat.com. So that's what's all this clean and clean with. It's cleaning the input, cleaning the data a bit, so we send clean queries to the endpoint. And I'm doing it with some tests. So the clean case works, and if it's a term that should be cleaned, like dirty, we should have cleaned it, and that's the case we're implementing right now. The test is failing. So it's just a lookup in this map. If this map contains a key with the title, then we should just return the cleaned term or the whitelisted term. So let's see, whitelist map. Does F#6 have a new function for this? Contains key, that's actually... But we do need to get the value. I think you can do this in one statement. Try find? Yeah, I think try find is what we need here. So try to find the title in our map, and that returns probably an option. It returns an option. And if we do find something, we return the value. And if we don't find something, that means that this function returns a non-value. I think you can do something like default. Why are there two defaults? I think that's new. Gets the value of the option if the option is some, otherwise evaluates def thunk. Thunk is a function. Okay, that's not what we need. Good morning. I'm saying morning, it's 1 p.m. here in Belgium. So yeah, we're trying to find the value in the map. If we find it, we return that value or the whitelisted term. If we don't find anything, then we just return the title itself. I think this should implement our whitelist logic. Let's give it a try. Yeah, unit, that means that these tests run without an error. Cool. I think that's whitelisting down. Alright, it's still morning for the grumpy game dev. Good morning to you. It's still night. Yeah, it's true. Time is a very relative thing, especially in programming world. Time is not only a relative thing, time is a painful thing to work with. There isn't a codebase I encounter where we have like time zone issues, or especially in last week or 2 weeks ago, it was the change between summertime and wintertime. Every year, every project I work on, boom, explosions in production. I'm happy that people like F# programming. It's a bit of an underrepresented programming language, I feel, but it's a really fun language to program in. Except for the formatting. I have like an auto formatter installed, and the slightest refactor I do, it's like, boom, everything is broken and I don't know how to get out. So if you see me struggling with formatting in an hour or in 5 minutes, and you know a better way to do this, please let me know, because it's frustrating me to no end. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked. We were whitelisting, and I think we just implemented the whitelist. So let's now add the whitelist, or add the problems we know of. And the problem I had was with some Pokemon game. Which Pokemon game was it? Yes, this one. Let me grab the title quickly. So this is the title we've been having problems with. Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. How Long to Beat does not know about this game. When we query this game, it's like, say, I don't find any game, because it has a different title for it. So let's just whitelist this, or add this to the terms to be cleaned. That should work, and we should also use our clean. Obviously, where this is the title we have from our backlog. Let's just pipe it through a clean and send it to How Long to Beat. Yeah, looks good. I think this will work for the Pikachu game. Let's see. Just sending everything to my REPL. Oh no, I selected the HTTP thing. We're doing all the 300 queries again. We inherited the bad part of Haskell formatting. I have never written production Haskell, so I can't agree or disagree there, but it's interesting. Oh cool, I didn't know there were other people doing development in F# on Twitch. I'll make sure to come by. Partially in Visual Basic, that's interesting. Okay, there we go. We just denial of service attacked the website again. Sorry for that. And we don't actually, we do some like throttling to make sure we don't pull the site down, because it's an awesome resource. Let's see where we find Pokemon. Let's go Pikachu Eevee. Yeah, it seems to work. If we query this now, or the cleaned version of this, we do get some results. I think we're making progress here. Can we run this for an entire collection? Let's try running it for an entire collection. So instead of game, let's do this for every game in our collection. I just do a map and applying find match for every game in the list. So this can go for a while. Let's see. Probably we'll have some new exceptions. Oh, that was fast. Excuse me, this is literally something we fixed, I thought. What's going on? Finished games. Is a clean thing parsed this? Oh yeah, this is again the uncleaned term. Maybe I should remember which term we sent to the endpoint. It's the first non-trivial thing I'm doing in this app, and it's providing me with a lot of headaches. Because this matching thing is exactly the thing I wanted to focus on during the stream, but it's harder than I thought. Let's go back a bit. So this is not the cleaned title. Let's just do the clean lookup where we're crashing right now. Where were we crashing? Find match, yeah. So let's just clean this title and worry about really fixing it later. So this should work better. No, it doesn't. Interesting. Oh, it's a different Pokemon game. Scala. It's been a couple of years since I've seen Scala. The one thing that scares me about Scala, puts me off a bit, is it leans more, or no, at least my impression of it from like an outside view is it leans more into the, hello, you have to know about monads and stuff like that, and covariance, contravariance, and when you do have sharp development, it helps if you know what a bind and a return is, but it's not necessary to be productive with it. And I feel, or at least my perception is that for Scala, the community nudges towards the Haskell level of understanding a bit. Plus it's a bit of a toxic community, but that's a different point. Anyway, what is not going on, or what's going wrong? Pokemon XY. It's the same issue, right? Probably it'll have a different title on how long to beat.com. It doesn't even find a game. So if we rebrand it to Pokemon X and Y, it'll work. But I think we have like an algorithm that works. Only problem is that we have a lot of edge cases in our shelf. So I'm not gonna have you sit through me fixing every one of these things, don't worry. We're just gonna do one more to make sure that it works. Actually, this is the term that how long to beat knows. It's the other one that is the term we have to clean. There we go. Yeah. Let's not run the HTTP. Yeah, we do have to run it again because the clean is in here. Okay, let's just run this part first. The community itself is not toxic, but there are some toxic influences in the larger Scala world. If you want to do some research, you should have no trouble finding what I'm talking about if you Google those two words, Scala and toxic. There we go. Let's see if we can match a bit more games now. It's all the Pokemons for some reason. It's 3 times we have problems and 3 times it's a Pokemon game. That's funny. Probably we know where this is heading, right? Maybe if we replace like the slash with and, we will hit 99% of the edge cases. Because that's literally what's happening here. Okay, I'm gonna do one more. I think that's the last Pokemon game I've ever played. So let's just do one more. That's one bracket too many. There we go. And let's just run the whole thing, why not? So, what are your favorite video games? Do we have any video game players out there? I find that like the intersection of software developers and people playing games or even board games. If you look behind me, there's a lot of board games. It's like a big overlap. A lot of my colleagues are into the same hobbies as I am. Okay, we're getting further and further ahead. Game we're crashing on right now is Red Dead Redemption 2. This looks like another, like we had the slash and the and. Probably Roman numerals are not a good match for the how long to beat API. We're like listing edge cases here, or different categories of edge cases. So maybe we can make a general purpose algorithm that handles the Pokemon exceptions and handles like the Doom exceptions where you have multiple releases for a single game, and handles Roman numerals that should actually be a number, stuff like that. Let's write those down somewhere. Matching edge cases. Pokemon XY. We're using the whitelist approach, but maybe we can do something else. What was the other one? Doom. What was it? 96, 93 versus 2016, 17. I forgot. And Red Dead Redemption 2. It's also always interesting when you're programming, like you have an idea of an algorithm and then your idea hits real life and it blows up in your face. It's always more complicated than you expect. But that's why I love programming. It's like a never-ending puzzle, a never-ending escape room game. Yeah, just for lulz. It's almost dinner time here, but I'm gonna see. Maybe this is the last one. It's very optimistic, but maybe this is the last exception. It should be 2 instead of a Roman numeral 2. I had a job interview a couple of weeks ago, and they love to do, like, I have 10 years of experience in the field, but still sometimes recruiters or people doing the interviews still like ask you these stupid programming challenges, and one of those was Roman numeral, the kata. It's funny because I've done this kata like 20 times in my life already, and it turned up as an interview question. I do interviews as well for my employer, technical interviews, and I never do like programming challenges. I don't see the value of having a prepared exercise and having a candidate doing it real time. Or I let them prepare, or my preferred way is like just pair programming, or ideally even pair programming with the team that they will end up in. But that's something that's a tougher sell for many employers to do the interview process like that. Cool. Looks like we made some more progress. We're crashing on Danganronpa. Super Metroid. Is that Super Metroid? Is that a video game like one of the early? I think I played some GameCube versions and the 3DS Metroid. I love those. And there's a new one out, right? Metroid Dread? I still haven't played that one. Yeah, Metroidvanias. I love that genre. Let's see what's wrong with Danganronpa. Danganronpa is the only game, or no, one of 2 games that I literally fall asleep to. I can play Danganronpa and suddenly I'm knocked out. It's because it's like reading a lot of text. It's a visual novel or a graphic novel, or I don't remember what the genre is called. But if I'm tired and I'm playing a game like Danganronpa, I just fall asleep. It's actually interesting, an interesting case, because what I'm doing here is like looking up or trying to figure out how many hours I played video games, and Danganronpa is a trilogy or a duology, and this single title is actually 2 different games, Danganronpa 1 and 2. And these are very long games. They take like 50 hours. So actually this is oh no, this is actually the exact same title. Okay, that's cool. We don't have to like do funky stuff like split up one game into 2 entries for the how long to beat API. So we can apply the same algorithm we've been using with the cleaning. Just add case for Danganronpa. Should I add like a percentage bar? I have no idea how far along the shelf we are. Pokemon, Red Dead, Danganronpa. Will this ever end? It's like one of the most asked questions on my job as well. Like, what is your estimate? When will this be done? Sometimes it's hard to give an answer. Super NES. That's before my time. I started playing video games on the original Game Boy and PlayStation 1. I do have a Lego NES up there. That was a very cool Lego build, actually. Oh dear, I still have one more Pokemon in my collection. Anyone excited for the new remake? Or was it the Pearl Diamond ones? I'm not even gonna bother checking how long to beat for this case, because I kind of have a feeling the title will be Gold and Silver. Let's maybe make sure, because every time we run this code we are somewhat DDoSing the site. Yeah. Cool. This should go as well. I have this really small keyboard, and to press like delete or insert or end, I have to press a combination of 2, 3, 4 keys, and it's very cognitive, or a very demanding task for me. I always have to look at my keyboard when I want to press end. That's not a good keyboard. The keyboard is, by the way, it's a Keychron. It's like one of those Kickstarter things. Let me pull up my full screen. Can you? Yeah, it's like one of those LED clicky clacky things. It's fun to type with, but it's too small. I miss my dedicated number keypad, and I miss my end and delete buttons. Okay, we're advancing. Yes, the Keychron is really small. That's one of the benefits. It fits in my backpack, and it's as big as my 15-inch laptop, so it's really portable. But if you use insert, delete, end, or numeric keys a lot, I cannot get used to the layout. I always have to look down. But like from a hardware standpoint or a quality standpoint, they're really sturdy mechanical keyboards. Which game is giving us problems right now? Sorry, this is not the game that was crashing, right? It's the same. I got confused with chat. Is this the actual problem we're still encountering? Pokemon Gold, Silver? Oh no, Sword Shield. I can't believe how many Pokemon games I played in my life. I'm 30 years old and I'm still playing Pokemon games. They're good games, they're not great games. The first one I played, like Blue and Red, those were great games. They were like major games in their time. Okay, so that's hopefully the last we'll see of Pokemon. Maybe I should write like a small utility function to do this thing for one single game. Because I always know like the error case, but we still keep bombarding the website with requests. Yeah, this looks better. What is the problem? Oh my god, it's the Pokemon game I just mentioned. A bell should have rang in my head that I played another Pokemon game. Okay, final one. If this kind of problem still pops up, I'm going to grab a quick lunch and not bore you anymore with this exact thing we've been doing for the last half hour, 20 minutes, I don't know, but we've been at it for a while. I said this before like 10 times already, but there's something very comforting about having a reel of all the video games you played in your life pass by. It's like good memories, good memories, good memories. It's a never-ending sequence of good memories for me. Cool. This might be a different category of problem. Let's take a quick look at it. No results for Phoenix Wright. What could be the problem here? What did I just change? I removed a hyphen? I don't even remember which Phoenix Wright game this is. Spirit of Justice. What console was this on? This is one video game I fell asleep. Sunny at the L Pass. Danganronpa and Ace Attorney. 2 visual novels with a lot of text. Do not play when tired. Okay, see you, Get Nada. Thanks for joining the stream. Yes, it was a 3DS game. And I have played it, that is correct. So it's funny that they list the game with a hyphen, but when I query with a hyphen, I don't get any results. Ah, apparently we do. I don't know what the difference is between what I sent and what it expects. Let's take a look. This is the one. What's the difference? Let's put these below each other. I don't see any difference actually. No, I don't see any difference. Interesting. I don't have like a super quick and easy diff tool on hand, I think. Will this actually do something? Maybe let's just get rid of the hyphen because we've seen that work on the API or on the website. One final time. I'm calling it. This will be the run that completes the entire collection. And otherwise, it's a good point to stop the stream. I've been programming for 1.5 hours. I'm getting a tight package. Ah, there's still a crash. The Walking Dead W. Is it alphabetic? No, it's not. But again, I think I'm gonna stop the stream here for today. We made good progress by implementing this whitelist approach. Now that we see these cases, I think that there's something we can do to not have to whitelist this many games. We can like do something about this slashes, probably do something about the Roman numerals if we feel like it. If like the list of exceptions is only 10 long, then maybe it's not worth it. But that's it for today. This is all like still in a REPL or in a script file. I'm gonna move this over to production land in one of the following streams as well. But that will be for another time. Thank you very much for joining and see you next time.